Submerged. It's an independent third-person adventure game with combat-free mechanics and post-apocalyptic overtones. Released on August 4th, 2015, this game was met with critical acclaim despite steady ratings. Upon completion of the game, I personally had mixed feelings towards it, which left me wondering if it was just another standard indie title, or could it have been a hidden gem for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I'm Heracross Gaming, and this is my review of Submerged. For this review, I will be looking at the version for the PlayStation 4, as I do not own an Xbox One. Okay, so let's start with the plot. The game is set in the distant future, where the Earth has been flooded, and wildlife roams the soaked skyscrapers and the general environment. You play as Miku, a young girl charged with the task of finding supplies to heal her wounded brother. They are both in a boat to begin with, as the player finds that the boat is integral to maneuvering around the metropolis. The somber overtones from the start does give the player a sense of urgency, but with the open world, the player is not pressured into rushing. The further Miku travels around the flooded metropolis, the more she discovers the remnants of what once was. As she captures past and present moments in her journal, she conveys them through symbolic imagery and cryptic language. Miku can also gather boat parts to improve the speed of her boat. Something to note is that this game is only 2 hours long, based off the in-game content, but with exploration mode, it adds more to it. As Miku gathers the 10 total supplies needed to heal her brother, we see humanoid creatures, whose origins unravel as during the gameplay and imagery she has created with the humanoid creatures were once part of a grander civilization. As Miku traverses, she begins to undergo a physical transformation as her skin starts to morph into a similar design to the humanoids. As she gathers the 10th and final supply, she collapses, presumably from exhaustion. When her brother Taku tries to get up, he sees that the humanoids are standing over her, and turn out they actually heal her completely, to which her brother and her leave the environment and return home on their boat. Okay, so let's talk about the pros and cons. To start with, I'll talk about the cons. The first few negatives I have with this game are mainly performance issues. I don't know if the problems are the same in the Xbox One version, but the PlayStation 4 has serious frame rate issues. During the boat sections, when pressing the L1 trigger to speed up the boat, the screen will drop in frames, making you think the game has lagged or even frozen, but will sometimes return to its original frame rate. The inconsistencies can really hinder the smoothness of the gameplay and breaks the immersion overall. Another downside is the lack of trophy support Submerged has. I understand the length of the story is only 2 hours, but with only 10 trophies in the entire game, it probably won't take you long to 100% the game. This I guess could be considered a pro, but from my own perspective, it seemed like a missed opportunity. So now I've mentioned the negatives, it's time to bring forward the aforementioned positive aspects of Submerged. Let's start with the visuals. My god, they're nothing short of amazing. The definition of the creatures and the aesthetics in the environments are certainly sights to behold. Although it lacks human elements and interactions, the very few interactions we do see are displayed through visual implications rather than the spoken. The exploration, as I've said previously, is limited to a 2-hour story narrative, but it borrows collectible elements from other games that extend the main story, and once you've beaten the main story, the exploration aftermath allows the player to continue to find any secrets or boat pieces they have yet to find. One of the main positives I found personally was the soundtrack. To me, it summates the world perfectly. Its essence and orchestral overtones and somber notes of the piano shows the futility and hopelessness of the world you are engaging with. It's sad, but at the same time you are glad that the sound is there to comfort you on your voyage, and allows you, in an audio-based scenario, to become Miku and sympathize with her struggle to heal her wounded brother. My final thoughts are as stated at the beginning, quite mixed, as there are positive and negative aspects within the entirety of the game itself. But to summarize, I think the game works very well on the platform it's on, and although it has a few bugs and issues that breaks the immersion at times, its overall environment and soundtrack allows your mind to jump straight back into the narrative. If you're a fan of wall climbing, saving family members, wildlife, and even boating, then I'd recommend picking this up. Its price on the PlayStation Network varies depending on your country of origin, but as an indie title, it shouldn't break the bank. My final rating for this game is a respectable 8.5 out of 10. I felt that it was a great title, but inside I felt it could have been so much more than what was finally presented, and there was room for more survivors, missions, creatures, and a more crafted backstory. And that's my review. Hopefully you enjoyed. I've been Heracross Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next video.